All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. You're in the blender with Big Mo, and today's special guest is Mr. and Mrs. Davis. As a contribution to the community that cares task force is honoring Albion's African-American citizens with a history and a past in this community, and we would like for you to share some of you guys' story with us, if you would.
Okay, so you want to start or you want me to start?
You can start, because
Okay.
you know
Well,
dates than I
I
do.
guess Mo already introduced us. I'm Dan Davis, and this is my wife, Andra Davis. We've been married. April the 4th will be 48 years
Okay.
that we've been married. We're originally from Detroit. We moved to Albion in 1997.
Okay.
And just a little history, we have 4 children. We have 17
great grands and 14.
17 grands.
I mean grands and 14 great grands.
Okay, building up a big legacy there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Were the majority of those kids born in Albion?
No, all our children were born in Detroit.
Or I should have said
The
grandchildren.
grandchildren, some were born in Detroit, and then some were born here.
The great grands was born here most.
Yeah.
Okay, how many of your family members live here in Albion with you?
Just my immediate family.
Okay, you're the kids?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, give me a little history of what got you to Albion.
Well, it started out after we got married. Her family used to come out, and Vondra's first cousin was Dr. Davis's wife,
Okay.
Brenda Davis.
Okay.
Her and Vondra are first cousins.
Oh, okay.
So we used to come out for Thanksgiving
To visit. Okay.
and spend Thanksgiving. And most of the time we'd wind up staying overnight, and just kind of hanging out.
We didn't want to go back
The
home.
town kind of grew on us. It
Yeah.
was quiet,
Quaint little
peaceful.
town.
Yeah. And,
Same
so it was
effect.
like, wow, it's just, everybody seemed pretty friendly. Everybody spoke to you in most cases. So, it was like, I don't know, I kind of like it out there. But, it took a while to make that decision to make that move.
Okay,
come out here.
to finally decide to get here. Let me ask you a question about your first visits here, because I'm originally from Detroit too, and I know when I got here, I turned a few corners and, people were waving at me that I
Yes.
didn't even know. And that was like, where am I?
Yes, that's one of the things we really like. That I would always say, you know him. You would say,
Yeah, I
don't
can
know who that
imagine.
is, but
Like,
it
I don't know,
I
but
like
you know.
I like friendliness. That's
Right.
that's what really
It
another thing that captured us.
Right,
It
right.
was
same here.
unreal because,
We
as
ain't
you know,
used to
growing up in Detroit,
That don't happen.
right, and then only the people up and down the block in the neighborhood
Right.
would speak to you.
Right.
But as far as a
Total
total stranger to wave and hey, how you doing, and that it was just unheard of in the
Right,
city.
right. So that was one of the things that captured your attention in coming here, huh?
Yeah, that was one
And
of the.
it was nice and clean, and you can tell the atmosphere. It was atmosphere, that was real nice.
So when you guys decided to move here, what did you do for employment?
Well, before we came here, I was working at a hospital in Detroit. And wow, it's been so long, I can't even remember the name of the hospital. But I had 2 jobs in 2
Nice.
different departments.
Okay.
And so I worked in the transportation department at the hospital, and then I was also the groundskeeper in that department. So I decided to, after talking to Doc Davis, he was like, well, there's a place out there called Star Commonwealth. You could probably go there and get a job, So I said, well, I'm going to give it a shot. I'll go out there and put in an application. And so that's what I did. I went out there, I applied for employment at Star. They called me in for an interview. James Cunningham, I'll never forget that guy. He was a great guy.
Right.
James Cunningham. And up on in an interview, it was like, well, we don't have any positions open for days, you know, so you'd have to take something working at night when we starting out. So I was like, okay, I'm fine with that. So I accepted the offer for the night position.
Was you guys here living in Albion at that time,
No.
or just
No.
positioning yourself?
Right,
That was
so-
good. That
right,
was good.
So we were still living in Detroit, and I was driving
still
back and
working.
forth.
Coming to work?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's an hour trip both
And
ways.
I was still working at Henry Ford Hospital.
Oh okay.
I worked there in the data processing.
Oh okay. Yep. So you say you were traveling back and forth on a daily basis from Albion, Detroit to start.
I was commuting every day, and it was like, you know, when I first started at Start, my shift was like 10:30 to 8 in the morning. So,
Right.
you know, it's like, wow, you know, I had
a
to
lot.
be here. You know, I had to be. So I try to put myself in position to be here by 10. You know,
Right.
not having to rush and get here at 10, and then I'd be here to 8, 8:30. You know, get off, then I have to drive home, and you know, so
A lot.
I was like, oh my God, you know.
How
get
long did you do that
worried,
for?
You know, about him being on the road
Right.
all night.
I think I did that probably almost a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, and a couple nights I wind up staying here.
Okay.
They had like some little lodging out there, and I stayed maybe a couple nights. But in most cases, I came home. But man, that drive home in the morning, you know,
Tired from work.
Hey, sunrise in the east, and you driving in that direction. You know, it was. But
Rough.
finally, I was like, okay, you know, we got to get ready to
Make
figure
that
some things
transition.
out because it was getting close to school time, and you know, we got to get the kids. The only ones I had that were in school was my oldest son had like a half a year. That was DJ.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kevin was getting ready to start his high school career.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
here in Albion. And I said, well, we got to get there so they can
Get
enrolled
ready.
in school.
On top of, we brought Troy with us.
Okay.
Because Troy looked at us and said, y'all moving, Granny? And we said, yeah. He was like, can I go with y'all? And we looked at each other and said, we can't leave him.
Can't leave him. He
take
gotta-
him
he
with us.
gotta came.
that's
So he
my
came with
third
y'all.
child. He was with
Yeah,
us.
Troy,
Well, that's
Troy
great.
is really like
A child.
the third boy in the family.
Right,
You know,
right.
he's just,
Right, he the oldest grandchild,
Mhm.
but the old, you know, third
Yeah.
son, like, you know.
so
Okay.
yeah, that commute was something else. We said, well, I say, we just got to go. You know, I said, it's too close to school time. And didn't have a place to stay. I got a U-Haul,
Loaded up, huh?
loaded up.
Like the Beverly
yeah,
Hillbillies,
like
rolled
the
out, huh?
loaded up the truck, and we rolled out, and we stayed
Stayed
up
at
here
the
at the hotel.
hotel.
Did you at the Best
Yeah,
Western?
we stayed up there for a couple weeks.
Okay, found you a house.
And finally, we found a home. Actually, I think you stayed in the house that we used to stay in.
Oh, yeah? Where was that at?
On 907 Clinton Street.
Oh, yep, I sure did.
Yeah, that was the first house that
Yeah,
we
we
stayed
did.
in when we
Okay.
moved here.
Yep, I bought
And
that house.
we sat there, and we finally got that house. We met some Mexican people that we rented the home from.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. It was
And
terrible.
we stayed there, I guess, roughly about a year.
Yeah,
you know,
and the
but
flood.
it was-
Remember it flooded, and that's when we moved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that roof was messed up on the house
Yeah,
on the
we
front.
had issues with the basement, so-
Okay.
flooding. We hadn't even unpacked our stuff, so we lost a lot of stuff because, you know,
Basement
of
was
that
flooded.
flood
Yeah,
and
those
stuff.
trees that were around
Yeah.
that house
Yeah,
messed the
yeah.
plumbing up. So how did you eventually where did you eventually start working at, Miss Davis?
Well, I started working in Doc's office, Dr. Davis'
Okay,
office.
so you
I
started
started
working.
out at the Jackson office.
Okay.
That's where I was, and I worked there for
About 11 years.
about 11 years.
Oh, wow. So you
And
came and got a
then-
good position, huh?
and
Locked
then
in.
I locked in there, and then I left there, and I came over here to this office for a little while.
Okay.
But then I started working at the high school.
That's where I met you at the high school.
Yeah, I
Yep.
started working. I wish. Oh my goodness, I wish that was still open.
Yeah.
I loved my job there.
Yeah,
I
it was fun.
Assistant,
Yeah.
secretary with Vonnie and
Mm.
Pam.
The whole crew.
Oh my goodness,
Right,
we
right.
we had ball in that office, taking care of our business. But I love those kids, and that's what I miss.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so Coach, why don't you tell me a little bit about how you got into coaching?
Well, I mean, that goes back to going home, back to Detroit.
Okay.
You know, we actually my boys were in elementary school, and you know, it came home. DJ came home one day, and it actually kind of started before then, really, because when we first got married, in our early years of marriage, we stayed on a street called Marlboro, in Detroit.
Right.
And there were some young men over there on the block, and I don't know why, but I just kind of attached myself to those younger guys. And so I used to get those guys, and I used to have them run and work out. We were lifting weights. And so that was kind of like, the start, right, the thing. And then afterwards, when we moved around a little bit, and then they got to that Macomb Elementary, DJ came home one day, and he was like, Dad, my gym teacher said he gonna do track. He's gonna start some track at the school. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah, well, track was always my thing. I ran track in high school, you know. And so I said, well, I got to go up here and meet your gym teacher.
Right, because you get interested in that track.
So I went up there and I introduced myself as Larry Jones, was his gym teacher. And so Larry and I got together, and, you know, we talked about doing this, and they had a little competition they called the pentathlon, that all elementary schools would come together, and they ran a bunch of different events. Long jump, they ran the 400 and 800, and they had co-ed relays, and they had a championship trophy for the relays. So you know, we put the team together, and we kind of say we own that trophy. Right. You know, for for years.
Long time, huh? Your boy's pretty fast.
Yeah. And then I was working at the time. I was working at a place called Joy of Jesus Ministry. In the youth department, you know, as a youth minister, and I was over the athletic program there, you know, and I started up well, they had a basketball league when I came in, but they only had like 4 teams in the league. So I was like, man, we gotta expand on this. So expanded the league, you know. We wound up with maybe about 12, 14, 16 teams.
Had a good little league going.
Yeah, different age groups and different age divisions. And so it got to be pretty competitive. And I also coached basketball in the league as well. So, you know, I had a team in there, and my sons played with me, and, you know, I coached them. So I kind of been a part of coaching them all their life. You know.
Just led naturally.
Right. And so that's kind of like how we got started, and that's really actually where how the Blazers came about. You know, we hooked up with Larry Jones, and that's how the Blazers came about, which was 89, somewhere around there. So when we moved to Albion, it was like, man, what are we gonna do? Because, you know, Blazers, you know, so
Blazers,
so it was like, we got to start somewhere. You know, we got to. I say, well, we just gonna keep going, and we'll just have the, you know, we had my sons and my grandson, and then one of the first ones to come around and join up was Todd Atchison. Little Todd, and he came aboard, and after that, we just kind of grew, you know, from building there. Up. They had the Albion used to host what they call Field Day, you know, here for the school, for the elementary schools. So I went up to the high school when they was hosting the Field Day, and, you know, I'm up there just kind of scoping and recruiting in my mind.
Don't let him see somebody's kid running down the street. He'll be like, look.
That looked like about a 4.5 right there.
Right. It was always a quarter mile. Oh, that's a sprinter.
You know, and that's kind of basically how we started. And I looked at that group, and that first year, it was probably like 5 Blazers. 5 of us that first year, you know, we had, that was it. And then, you know, we picked up the kids as things went, you know, through word of mouth. I never did a whole lot of advertising as far as flyers and stuff. Like, I did that a little here and there, but mostly word of mouth, you know. And then I I met Mike Jurasek,
Okay.
which was my first year here.
Okay.
And after we met Mike, you know, it was like, it was on pop because he went to Tony Harris, who was the AD
Right.
at the time, and he was like, hey, you gotta hire this guy.
So they needed you,
yeah,
huh?
I need an assistant coach. You gotta hire this guy, you know, and you know, so that was the beginning
Got you right
of my
in.
coaching career here at the high school. And my son, my youngest son, Kevin, he loved basketball. Of course, he played for me when we was in Detroit, you know, and he played in middle school and a couple of little PAL leagues down in Detroit. So when we got here, he was, you know, he played basketball, and Charles Henderson was the head coach then.
Okay, I remember that.
So, you know, talked with him, and he was like, well, I'll have him come to practice, you know, and he can work out, you know, with the varsity guys. I'm gonna take a look at him and Bobby Evans.
Okay.
Oh, Kevin worked out with him, and lo and behold, he wound up on varsity as a freshman.
Right.
And, you know, so I was like, I asked Coach Henderson, I was like, well, do you mind if I stick around and help out, volunteers? And he was like, no, I don't have no problem with it. You know, more eyes, the merrier.
Right.
So I'm like, so that's how I got into coaching basketball here in Albion, as one of his assistants.
Oh, okay. So let me interrupt. My son would not be happy if I didn't ask you or have you say he was the best player you ever coached. So that's a shout out to my son, Big Q.
Yeah, and Q was really, he was a great kid, man.
Yeah.
He's a great, you know, great athlete, fun to be around.
Yeah.
You know,
Attitude, personality. Yeah.
Sweet as he could be.
you know, I mean, just the kind of kid, you know, I might be upset about something in practice, and here he come out of nowhere with
Make
some
you
kind
laugh.
of comment, just make you know,
Yeah, that's my boy.
you know, and I'm
Yeah.
like, he was like, Coach, and I'm like, you know, you got, what can you do, you know, but
And
you
he,
know,
he would always call me Granny. Put his arm around me. Granny, you all right? Yeah, I'm fine. Somebody been to made me mad or something.
Yeah, I missed those days at the
Yeah.
high
Oh
school
my
with them
God.
games. So since the high school closed, what have you been doing sports-wise? I know I see some posts with some track stuff on your post and
Well, since the high school closed, it's been Blazers still every summer.
stuff. Okay.
We have actually grown, and our Blazer organization.
Oh, so you continued that since you've been in Albion?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't catch that part.
Right.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that's when the first year we had 5 kids.
Okay.
Was a continuation of the Blazers from Detroit, but we were no longer Detroit Blazers. We just changed it to Blazers.
Right.
You know, and man, we grew. I mean, just through word of mouth after I got the coaching at the high school, and then going to different meets, and other coaches were approaching me from different schools about kids running over the summer. I heard you run an AAU program over
Got
the
you
summer.
all the way involved, huh?
Yeah, so, you know, and then, so it kind of plugged in. I started getting kids from Jackson. I got kids from Homer,
Lansing.
Battle Creek. You know, I even had kids from Lansing.
Cold water.
See, they come from everywhere, huh?
Right, right.
That's
you know,
a good thing.
Quincy. So, you know, it really kind of spread out. We actually wind up now with, we got a chapter in Kalamazoo, because I had kids coming from Kalamazoo,
Okay.
which was through a young man who I call my brother now, because we've been
forever.
friends forever since his son started running at the age of like 11 years old,
Okay.
who's
Long
now like
relationship.
31 years old. So
Yeah, that's like family right there.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
That's a great
but
thing.
he came aboard with his son, and his commitment has been phenomenal,
Okay.
because
His
his son quit running before he graduated high school to concentrate on football.
Okay.
But Calvin, which is Calvin Cheatham, he kept bringing his kids over, and he get
Just
kids,
keep
more
going.
and more kids, and now he drove every day from
Yeah, that's
Kalamazoo.
dedication right there.
Yeah.
That's a passion. That's a
Right.
passion for the
He
sport.
drove every day from Kalamazoo, bring kids over to practice, you know, and then take them back home, and you know. So, I mean, they're just the expansion of it just
Just kept
blossomed,
going.
you
Right.
know. And we decided that we
we got 7.
had that branch over there My son Kevin moved to Ypsilanti.
Okay.
He started a chapter in Ypsilanti.
So it's just spreading out, just branching out.
Right. So he had people that he was working with down in that area, and then the one young lady moved to Toledo.
Okay.
Coach
And
Jennifer.
so now she decides she wants to start a chapter in Toledo.
All right.
You know, so
So
now here we are.
building a big
out of- right,
legacy.
so we out of state now, and here, you know, irony of that whole thing is Kevin moved to Florida just before the end of last year.
Did he? Okay.
And he's starting up a Blazer chapter down in Florida where he is now.
So y'all got the whole eastern end of the country jumping, huh?
So we really growing. Dominic Reed, who I coached in high school, and he's the track coach at De La Salle
Okay.
down in the Detroit area. He started a group out there in his area.
So they just keep going and going.
So it's growing. We
That's
actually have received 2 years in a row from the AAU Association as one of the top 100 clubs in the country.
Oh well, that's great, man. That pays and says a lot
Right,
about your
and-
dedication
right.
to the
So
sport.
That's an honor to be,
Right,
recognized
absolutely.
at that level.
And I'm just the encourager. I do all mostly fundraising stuff.
Okay.
You know, and pat on the back and hug when they do something they ain't got no
Right.
business doing.
The consoler, the mother
But-
figure.
Right,
Yeah,
That's
but I
right.
love it because it gives you a chance to be in a child's life. It gives you a chance to get them into college on a full scholarship. We had a bunch of them going
full
on
scholarship, partial scholarship, anything that
kind
can
of
help
money.
Right.
That's
them
my
further their
focus.
education.
Absolutely,
You know,
and know
it's-
that you contributed to that
Yeah.
through sports and
Yeah.
training. That's a
The
great
thing is that
feeling.
that success rate is
Yes.
just so great. I mean, we have so many kids that were part
Oh,
of
my
that
goodness.
program
Right.
who have gone on to college, graduated, got married, have their own families, successful, very successful,
Right.
great jobs, Of course, as anything, you lose a few,
You lose a
Yeah.
few.
You know, you lose a
sure
few.
do.
Come and go.
but, there's more positive than there are negative. And,
You got to celebrate the successes.
Yes.
and it's great. And I've always said, and I get lazy about stuff like that, but I always said I'd like to be able to just put together something one of these days and just some kind of newsletter and just doing success stories.
Oh, that would be great.
individuals.
Follow it up.
Yeah,
Follow it up with some of them.
individuals through the past and over the years, But
Well, yeah,
I might be
absolutely.
writing for quite a while.
Well, that's a
this
part
is-
of your
This
legacy.
is our 30
Going in our 32nd year.
second year, 32
Okay.
years.
31
of
years
Blazers.
would have been last year, but we had
You
to
know
shut
how it
down
was.
for,
Right.
for
Yeah,
COVID.
COVID
last
shut
summer.
everything. Shut the country up.
They
Shut the
just-
planet down,
they
basically.
just starting to open back up now, so
Right.
I don't know if we're gonna have any kids running the indoor season
Right.
for Blazers yet.
Right.
or not.
I know they got a little basketball stuff starting up, which is
Mhm.
great, man. Everybody's anxious to get
Oh,
back
my
to normal.
goodness. I mean, you can't blame them, the kids for wanting to do that, but you still got to be careful.
Well,
You still
the
have to
thing
be
is
careful.
they're kids. So
Yeah.
in most cases, we understand, but they don't
don't,
really
yeah.
understand like we understand.
Right, because they
You
don't
know.
understand the ramifications, and
Right.
Right.
all they know is they can't have fun.
And I had to give a special shout out to Willie Lewis because
Okay.
Willie's been, he's been a
Yes.
rock
Oh,
with the
my
organization,
goodness.
for a while. Paul started running when he was
like
about 8 years old.
Okay.
And he finished all the way through high school.
He-
He ran in
actually
Albion College.
won the nationals
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
his senior year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
His senior
He's a
year of high
national
school,
champion.
he won national
Wow.
championship in the 3000, wasn't it?
But yeah,
Yeah, I think it was.
Willie has 5 daughters,
All of them ran Blazers.
and
All of them ran Blazers, huh?
some of them are still participating now,
Right, that's
because they're
great.
still of age to be
I
able to
think Tally
participate.
the only one didn't
Right,
participate.
Tally didn't, but
But the rest
Jay,
of 'em did.
Jay, Alina,
Okay.
Aaron,
All
Kendall, those. And those my girls. Those are like my daughters.
Right,
I
right,
tell
right.
them all the time.
Yeah.
They see that I see them with little boyfriends, and they were like, Coach Davis, be nice now. Be nice.
No, you finna put that judgmental
Yeah.
hand out there. That's a good thing. They respect you enough to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
And so your overall Albion experience has been a good one, man. You
Oh, yeah.
touched a
Right.
lot of lives, influenced a lot of
Yes.
young individuals, which is a great thing, and it has become a passion of mine also, and I respect you for that. As far as Albion is concerned, if you could change any one thing about Albion, what would it be? And both of you guys can answer
Well,
that question.
Before we actually go there, one thing I want to share about Albion.
Okay, go ahead.
When we talked about the people and the community,
Right.
we experienced the house fire.
Oh, wow.
Probably our third year here in Albion, maybe our third or fourth year we lived in Albion. We was staying on Washington Street.
Okay.
And the
Yeah.
house caught fire.
We had went on a cruise for
And,
our anniversary. That was what
Yeah,
year?
that was
15 years? Was it
02,
20?
I think 01.
Well, I'm talking about how many years was it?
I don't know. That would be mine. I can't remember.
But yeah, we had just came back from
Yeah.
a cruise.
And had a house fire, and I was a little perturbed really at the time with the fire department. And I'm gonna have to be honest about it, because where I lived on that corner,
They was
I
right
could
down
literally
the street
stand on the porch
and see them.
and see the fire department and the police station.
Right.
And my house is burning, and I don't see a truck coming nowhere.
Right, right.
You know,
That's
and I'm
horrible.
like, man, you know, the house is on
Wow,
fire.
down.
So, and the fire started upstairs, you know, and then just fortunately we was able to get everybody out, you know, and things of that nature. But the kicker was that after the fire, there were people that we didn't even know.
Right.
Yeah.
People ride by, come up, hey, we understand you guys had a fire in your house. Here, maybe this can help you out, man. People just
I never-
coming out of
never
nowhere.
seen nothing like it.
Never.
$100 here, $200 there. And the reality of it was, we probably wound up with a little over $5,000.
Just didn't help from people
Just
you
didn't
barely
help
knew.
from people. And then some help came from our church
Right.
in Detroit and some relatives as well. But it was just awesome to see how the people in this community
Pull together.
Yes.
pulled together and came and supported us and didn't even know us. We had only been in Albion a few years.
Right.
You know, and I was like, man, this is surreal. I can't believe this, because we experienced a house fire in Detroit.
Just had to move.
And, but not only that, the house was burning. My wife was pregnant with Kevin.
Wow.
My oldest son was a couple years old, and my daughter, Shine and Mondale, they were still young.
Right.
And they were upstairs sleeping. I had an old Cutlass, you know, that we were driving. And all those people lived around us. Nobody opened, not even opened their door and say, hey, you guys want to come in out of the cold? I mean, it's dead winter.
Wow.
Snow on the ground.
It's a big difference.
You know, it's snow on the ground, and nobody opened their door to say, y'all want to come in. I had to take them and put them in the car and start the car up and turn the heat on, you know, just to get them away and then get them out of the cold to safety. My daughter's upstairs, and a guy just walked,
Don't know
don't know where he came
who
from.
it was. It was an angel. I don't care.
You know,
what
he
they say.
walked up and he was like, you got anybody else in the house? And my daughters was upstairs. And I say, my 2 girls in the house. He went in with me. We went upstairs, got the girls, brung them out, put them in the car. I turned around, he was gone.
Wow.
And I was like, man,
I
and we live right
see
off the corner.
where
So,
you at.
you know,
You could see them in any direction.
right. And so, you know, but going back to that, even the kids that I had coached at the high school, and a lot of times I tell that story, I get emotional.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But they came over and they, Coach Davis, we know y'all gotta move. We gonna come over and help y'all pack up. And one of the kids I really remember was Leslie Jurasek and JB Starkey.
Okay.
Kind of headed up that whole thing, man. But them kids came over, and a lot of the other kids from the track team.
Right.
They come
packed
with
the
boxes.
whole
They
house.
came with
Wow.
packing stuff that you wrap your dishes and all that stuff.
Just gave y'all a helping hand.
And they
Yes,
gave us,
they-
look, they collected gift certificates for restaurants,
Made baskets
and
with like
food
personal
and
stuff and all. It was
And
awesome.
I'm like, man, this is just awesome. I never experienced anything, and I never in life would have thought
People
Right.
had
that
that
this
much
would
on.
happen,
Right.
and people had,
Right.
were so considerate and caring
Right.
in a community that they would come together and do those kind of things.
And
Albion
then-
is
and
amazing
then,
in
and
that
then
sense.
Albion College, that was the tip of the iceberg. They let us stay in that house right there on the corner,
Right at the end of
right at the
Borough,
end of Borough.
on the
We didn't have to pay for nothing, no rent, phone, nothing, and they even stocked us with food in there.
Wow, that's amazing.
And I
Yeah.
was like, oh my, we cried so much, we was just
Yeah.
boo-hooing like.
I can
Hey,
imagine.
the only requirement was from the college was not to
Yeah.
make long distance
Yeah.
phone calls.
That was it, huh?
On the
That
phone.
was it.
You know, I mean, 4
And I don't know if
bedrooms
you
in
ever
the
been
house.
in that house.
You know.
That's a beautiful home.
No, I haven't.
It's
I haven't
It's,
been
beautiful.
as soon as you right the Borough, and then you
It's
veer
right
over
there
to
on
the
the
left
corner.
on
Right there on
Hannah
the
Street,
corner.
right on the corner, Michigan and Hannah. That
I know
very
the house
first
you're talking about. I've never been in there. That's an
and, I
amazing
mean,
story right
President
there.
Mitchell was at that time
What's the
was
president?
president of the Albion College. You know,
Okay.
he I had met President Mitchell prior to that, and he heard about what happened, and they just
I was
opened
totally
it up and
shocked.
offered it to us.
Man,
You know,
that would have never happened in Detroit.
Oh,
no,
That's a good saving grace for Albion, man, and one of the reasons I decided to come back. It is a very caring community.
it is.
I can remember when I got sick and you guys came to my rescue. So, you guys have definitely paid that same sentiment forward, and I respect and love you guys for that. And
Well, it's called Bless Somebody Else.
That's
If
right.
you ever
Right.
heard that song,
all right,
Bless
Mr.
Somebody.
Davis, if you could change one thing about Albion, what would it be?
If I could change anything about Albion, I would change the fact that the high school closed and the whole entire school system is now up under the heading of Marshall.
Okay.
When we moved here, I never in 100 years would have thought that Albion would be without its very own school system.
Okay.
And
That was
that school
heartbreaking.
system is, a part of our history here in
Yes.
Albion. I had grandkids who went to
All of
elementary
them
school
graduated.
here and graduated from high school. My grandson graduated from Albion. My sons graduated from Albion High School. So they're part of that history. There's a part of a legacy that can't be changed. So if that's the one thing I could change the most, is that I would still have an educational system right here in the city of Albion.
Man, yeah, one of them.
Okay, Mrs. Davis, is there anything you'd like to say in closing?
Well, I would like to say that I really appreciate you inviting us to be on this segment of, podcast, because I thought it was an honor when he first told me about it. I was like, oh, wow. That's an honor to me that you would think that we were, people.
You guys
come
have
on,
touched a lot of lives in Albion.
lives and stuff like that. So I just thought it was awesome. I was all nervous. I was like, oh my God.
Well, I'll admit, I was
called
more
my
nervous
kids.
than you guys.
I called the kids. I called Kevin. I was like, look, we're going to be on the podcast.
Yes, and I'm going to make sure I
It's
get
an
that
honor.
up.
It's really an honor. It is.
I appreciate that, but
And
you
we
guys
thank you
are
for
phenomenal
thinking about us,
individuals for Albion. You've done so much for the kids of Albion. It would be a dishonor to not think of you guys. You guys have touched a lot of lives, and I love you. And thank you for the interview.
We appreciate it.
Okay. Yes, sir.
And God bless you. And I just want to say you're doing a great work here in the community as well.
Yes.
Thank you.
And that needs to be recognized, and it can't go without being mentioned. So
I appreciate that.
Just keep up the good
Right.
work that
You guys are my encouragement.
and we'll support you in whatever
You always
we can.
have.
Yeah.
Thank you for that sentiment, and I appreciate it. And hopefully we'll get to have another chat. Thank you, guys.
All right.